Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Figure Friday. Today we'll be looking at the Shippo and Kirara Pop-Up Parade figure by Good Smile Company. These are some of my favorite InuYasha characters, so I'm just really happy to be able to have them in my collection with my other InuYasha pieces. So just taking a look at the box, nothing really special here. So I think what we'll do is we'll just open it up and take a look inside. Let's get right into it. Every time I buy a pop-up parade figure, I think to myself, why do I keep buying this line of figures? Nothing really impresses me, and I just can't seem to understand the value of these lower quality figures when compared to some of the higher end ones, and I don't mind spending the extra cash. Especially in the case with InuYasha being one of my favorite series, I just really want to get some good quality figures that represent something that means a lot to me. And in all honesty, I really believe this figure has completely changed my perception of what the Pop-Up Parade line is capable of doing. Shippo and Kirara make a pretty good pair in the fact that they're kind of mascot characters for InuYasha and Rumiko Takahashi's works, but it's not the greatest pairing I would have picked for these particular characters. I believe I much rather would have had Sango with Kirara, or maybe Myoga with Shippo, but in the end these pairings don't really matter too much, because what we got is actually incredible. I don't really know what the exact scale of this figure is, but what I can tell you is it's one of the heaviest and biggest figures I've seen in the Pop-Up Parade line. The figure is not too tall, but the width is definitely where you're getting your bang for your buck at almost 7 inches in length. For Kirara, that is. Shippo is only a solid inch in width, and about 2.5 inches tall, while Kirara is almost 4 up to the ears. The weight is actually on par, if not higher, than some of the scale figures that I've purchased in the past. And that really speaks volume to the quality of these two figures, especially given that they're both paired together in the same package. Everything feels really solidly built and spectacularly designed from the ground up. Good Smile really isn't skimping in any particular area here, and I don't really have any major complaints. One thing that I would change, however, is the stand that Shippo comes on. The rod that attaches to Shippo doesn't feel very stable, and the base doesn't really fit properly into the spot where you're supposed to have Shippo with Kirara, as pictured in the promotional material. And as long as you're not looking at the figure from behind, there are no real seam lines or inconsistencies with the sculpt that would be a bother to the eye. I really like the texture of Kirara's fur. The way they painted it just makes it look very lively and very detailed, even if in some spots her coat doesn't really look too aesthetically pleasing as far as the paint spreading and the slight discolorment goes. It just looks a little too yellow in some spots, and it's not really too big of an issue, especially given the overall good quality of the figure, but I did feel it was necessary to mention. Overall, the colors and the sculpt are pretty basic, but it's well done, and Kirara is one big piece with no strings attached, but it does a good job of accomplishing the goal that it sets out to do. It's generally solid and well put together. Most of my complaints come from Shippo feeling a little too flimsy in comparison, but she does look really good, and her variation of color contrasts very well with Kirara, making the figure feel a little bit more alive, as two separate pieces becoming one. There's not really a lot much more to show you about this figure. What you see is definitely what you get. I would have absolutely loved it if it came with an extra base to place underneath of the figure, but it looks very good just displaying it by itself. I really wish that the figure was a bit more dynamic and varied in its poses and shelf presence, but this figure makes quite a statement for itself, just being one of the very few figures of Kirara and Shippo that are available on the market. So if you're looking for something to pair with the rest of your InuYasha figure collection, this is definitely a piece I would highly recommend having, especially given just how iconic Kirara is as a character, and the amazing price of just 4,800 yen, you definitely can't go wrong. It is very rare for a figure in this price point to feel as quality and well put together as this one, making this a must-buy figure for any fan of the series. That just about wraps up my thoughts on these lovely figures here. Tell me in the comments below what you think of the recent Pop-Up Parade releases. I really haven't been the biggest fan lately, but this one definitely turned me around, so it's gotta be improving at least a little. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe as well, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, and bye-bye.